Okay. All right. Good afternoon, everyone. I guess you know my name. It's Kendrick Sylvester, and it's my pleasure to introduce Roscan Gold Corporation to the Wellington Altus team. So Roscan is a junior mining exploration company focused on gold properties in Mali, West Africa. And the company boasts a large land package hosting multiple high priority targets along a 20-kilometer mineralized trend. The assets are also near existing local infrastructure and located in a prolific gold camp that has historically produced over 50 million ounces. So Roscan expects to release its maiden resource in the first half of 2022 with a focus on its two key deposits, Mankuki South and Kabaya, and a growing number of new regional exploration targets. So with us today is Nana Sangwa, President and CEO of Roscan Gold. So Nana, thanks again for your time.
Thanks, Kendrick, for the introduction. I would gloss through the forward-looking statement and just delve right into the timeline slides. Basically, Roscan has assembled a very prospective land package southwest of Mali, just in the vicinity of very prolific Tier 1 discoveries, and our goal is to make a similar discovery. I needs updating because last week we found another discovery, which made the total number of discoveries to date 7, and we advancing these discoveries towards the resource stage, with the maiden resource expected by Q2 this year. Some of the advanced targets that we have, Mankuki South, which is well known, has been returning some spectacular widths and grades, and basically there's something that points to a very highly mineralized system right up surface, easily accessible with good metallurgy, which I'll speak to towards the end of the presentation. But that is our flagship asset, and it's building volume quickly. And we've expanded the footprint by additional drilling in certain areas over the last few months. Where we also focused on is Kabaya, which was a ground that we picked up that had some mineralization. I mean, it had a resource of 140,000, and we've drilled deeper, extended it depth, and it's still open, both at depth and strike. And we've made other discoveries, like I mentioned, and some of them will make it into maiden resource. Others would follow on suit later. Why we are in this area is because the camp is one of the most prolific gold camps in the world, and we're lucky to have put together a very significant land package spanning 402 square kilometers as we speak right now. Land package is sandwiched between two of the largest producing gold assets in Africa. That's a big gold Cola mine, and we have Lulu-Guancodo of Barrick north of us, also producing around the same scale. So when we talk about a district with Tier 1 kind discoveries, those are the scales that could be available to us. Early days, but we're confident based on the results that we receive. I spent a significant part of my career as an analyst, and one of the things that came across was oftentimes these successful discoveries had difficulties transitioning into economic projects because management oftentimes were clueless. They had their success, but going through the transition was a problem. So once I got on board, I wanted to make sure that I surrounded myself with a team that have been successful unlocking value on similar opportunities, so that we can basically navigate that trajectory with little impediments our way. So Sesam Jonah joined us just around the time I became CEO. He grew Ashanti Gold from a single asset mine to a 10-mine conglomerate, which was eventually acquired by AngloGold Ashanti. Venkat, the former CEO of Anglo Gold, Shanti also has joined us, and these are very accomplished mining executives, and they've really engaged with the board, and they've been very helpful to get us where we are at the stage. Social corporate responsibility is something we take serious because we've got a significant land package, and we think we are sitting on a standalone operation which could be mine. And that differentiates us from a chunk of junior mining exploration companies out there. 95% would never convert into mines. We very confident that what we've got would definitely be a mine. What I can't say definitively is whether we are building the mine ourselves or some of our neighbors around us will be. So with that at the back of our minds, we're trying to move this forward in a way that will preserve the social license. So we've been very, very engaging with the communities, water wells, health facilities, COVID response, etc. And at the stage, I think we have a very solid social license with them, and we hope to maintain that going. This basically shows the location of our tenement packages in blue. And then essentially, we picked up this ground. That was the most recent ground that we took, which brought us even close to the B2 land package. So in terms of scale, we sort of 3 times the land package that they have, which has the Fekola project. And we've just tested about probably 30 of this state. Some of the new additions, we yet to do more work, but there are screaming anomalies out there that we believe or to more discovery. But so to orient ourselves historically, I mean, players like Roscan Gold, now Barrick, have been here for 3 decades, never seen any disruptions in mining activity here. But all the exploration was concentrated on the SMC, which was the first order structure that they knew at that time, splays of which had yielded Lulu, Guancoto, Fekola, Boto, and Garita. To the east, it was less known until we got involved, and we discovered another first order structure running through. And splays of it is what has yielded all the discoveries that we've made. Date some running from the Gold ground Serbia to the south, right through to Oglo's ground with Seko. We have done additional test work. I mean, our discoveries were based on termite anomalism and geochem, but we did geophysics, and it highlighted the occurrence of some conductors through our land package extending for about 1 kilometer into the ground. The deepest we've drilled is probably 300 meter vertical. So if these conductors are mineralized, it points to the scale of the systems that we are dealing with. And to put it in context, this is an orogenic gold deposit, structurally controlled. So it's a gold field with deep roots, deep plumbing systems, and we're working our way together. This is a depiction of our geophysics. The new ones we did, we keep it as proprietary. You can see the concentration of discoveries along this trend. And you have a splay feature that's coming in from the SMZ running through the ground. And these are some of the newer areas that we're confident that we discoveries, and we are yet to do that. Moving to Mankuki South, which is our flagship asset. This is where we see all these good grades and wide zones that have been reported. One thing to note is some of these intercepts are just right up surface, and you see from the long section that you got good mineralization sticking right up there. So very easy to access and low strip, and highly weathered profile points to potential high margin operation. And I believe you can get dump truck right now and start shoveling ore in some of the plants within 50-kilometer radius of us, the nearest being which is 4 kilometers from. If you look at the long section, you can see a zone almost 3 grams material sticking up surface, like I mentioned. But let's just fast forward a bit to this page where you'll notice that MS1 and MS3 has changed a lot with incremental drilling, which gives us a confidence that the is getting bigger. If you look at that in context of what we knew about 3 or 4. So the zones are filling in. There's a bit of depiction of the interface, the saprolite layer to the fresh rock. So there's a feeder zone which we need to chase and understand the plumbing system. But the beauty of the deposit is the saprolite is all free dig, highly weathered, and you should be able to do a lot of mining, low cost mining before you get action and reduce the need for drilling and blasting. So that's our flagship asset, and that's going to contain a bulk of the resource that we will be announcing in the maiden update, and it's also going to be a core of economic operation to be put on our Kandiole project. But we have other targets as well. One notable one is Kandiole North, and just to put it in context, Mankuki South is down here in our tenement package, and Kandiole is this. So it's just about 10 or 15 kilometers away from each other. And one point to highlight on the slide is all these targets that we have found, probably 10 or 15 kilometers away from any central facility that we can put. So we have a standalone operation here, and we're just doing the work to find how these various interrelate to each other. So back to Kandiole, this is a target where we traced this anomaly over a 1.5 kilometer strike, and that was mainly AC in what do you call it, termite anomalies. We did another test, ICP test, looking for arsenic, which tends to be a pathfinder for gold. And it revealed all these pinkish zones. So you can see a broad extent of area that suggests likelihood for gold mineralization. This is the only area that we've drill tested in a consistent form, 675 meter strike identified. And it's going to be part of the resource. There'll probably be extensions into the zone. This, as a crow flies, is actually about 10 or 12 kilometers from the polar plant. And characteristics of this target is the high gravity recoveries we get from target in particular. We get almost 6% gravity. So it's also heavily weathered. We can get saprolite or oxidized material as deep as 200 meters. And then we essentially have the ability to significantly increase the scope with more drilling to the other anomalies. We've actually found snippets of some good grades in some of these zones that are waiting to be flashed out. So this is also another very prolific area that warrants some follow-up work and can significantly build as well. The next target, Kabaya, and just to orient ourselves here, Kabaya is basically up north, so Mankuki South is here, Kandiole is here, and Kabaya is in this area. And our latest discovery, DC, just right up here. So Kabaya had a result on, and we've drilled it. The shell was just contained here, in less than 60-meter depth, hitting grades as deep as 250 vertical, and it's consistent across strike as well. So there's potential for volumetric expansion of this resource, and that's something that we're working our way on and should be included in the maiden resource. This is potentially going to be a lower grade resource, about a gram, but the leaching character are very, very, very encouraging. So this could run through a heap very quickly, and in my answers, it's also near surface, highly worth it, and we're actually picking silver by credits here that is worth following up as we go. So this slide sort of puts it all in context. If you look at what we have here, essentially several discoveries all over, and I would put this as a gold field. It's one of the unique areas where you have wide expanse of mineralization scattered over broad zones, and we've just begun, and so far we've made 7 discoveries. We know that they are all interconnected, but I think any of these discoveries in its own right could be company makers, and having all that buried in our story is very, very exciting. It poses the challenge of trying to get people to focus where all the effort is, what's getting into the resource earlier stage, etc. But we'll be coming up with a target prioritization table very shortly, and that would lay it out clearly as to which zones are making it into the resource, which require a little bit more work, and how we'll scale it. Because on top of this, the other targets that we've not shown, which are going to be drilled, and I think those will be additional. These are the metallurgical test work. I mean, basically, we are looking at 97.6 in the oxides, averaging about 93 and fresh. And like I highlighted, in certain areas, we're getting up to 6 and in gravity. So clearly, no boogeyman in the cupboard here. Is very economic, and I think as we pull all this together, people are that ready for transition to develop studies, and that would further the rest of the project and add more value as we move forward. Capital structure. I think one thing to highlight is 2 years ago when I joined, we had about 97 million warrants outstanding, and that was quite a bit of a hassle to chew through that. So we put out quite a bit of news. We've been able to get all those exercised. The only warrants left are broke warrants, so that overhang is gone. And we believe that the stock should trade up on incremental news flow. We've gotten some long strategic investors to come on board during the period of the weakness in the general sector. They picked quite a few, and we've seen a few new also be add. So some of the numbers here would have changed, and some have not actually been added to this. But we believe that as we speak, there are significant new buyers out there, and over time that should continue to support. In terms of coverage, I think we're very pleased to have independent views out there on the street, and most of them are seeing at least valuation from where we sit once we deliver a resource is guided between 1 to 2 ounces from the analyst estimations, and that we should be able to deliver that. So that points to a solid re-rating, milestone area that's within the coming before the end of Q. Board and management, we talked about them in the opening. There are many more that are highlighted here. We're very lucky to have a very accomplished group of technical guys join company at this early stage of evolution. And I think that makes us confident that they also saw what we see to be able to attract them to the home as we grow bigger. So in summary, I think we basically having a very spectacular asset located in the right address where several tier one discoveries have been made, and there are very few camps in the world that can boast of record. We've made quite a number of discoveries here. That points to the richness of land package, and drilling has been maximum depth of 300 meters, and we know we're dealing with an organic gold system that has deep and structurally controlled, and we're working to put the pieces together. So we're confident that there's definitely going to be scale, and there's going to be onto the maiden resource, which is due by you this year. We're close to infrastructure, so we can leverage that in the team, get ourselves into production, which will attract a re-rating. But I feel that as we do the rest of the project and deliver on the milestones, we should begin to start get some sort of an baked into the story. And it's evident already with the having we trying to work for big partner to help. So that's the story in a nutshell, and I would pause and take questions.
Great. Thanks, Nana. Thanks for the presentation.